Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we will be talking about the antrodiaetus pacificus, also known as the Pacific floating door spiders. So stay tuned. Antrodiaetus pacificus is a species of antrodiaetus floating door spider in the infraorder Megalomorph, result in the family Antrodiaetidae. They construct burrows, and the females are rarely seen, as they are in their burrow for the majority of their lifetime. The mature males can be seen wandering around looking for receptive females from early June to early November. People here in the Pacific Northwest sometimes call them tarantulas or tarantuloids or dwarf tarantulas because of their close relation and similarity in appearance and in the infraorder. Geographic distribution. The Pacific coast of North America from San Francisco Bay north to southern Alaska, with outlying, perhaps other isolated populations outside of the normal range in the montane areas of western Idaho, northeastern Oregon, and adjacent Washington. Dense aggregations of Antrodiaetus pacificus occurs in city parks too, such as Forest Park in Portland, Oregon, and Mount Tabor in Portland, Oregon as well. The range of Antrodiaetus pacificus extends much farther north than that of any other of the North American megalomorph spiders. Habitat. The habitat requirements of this species appears to be similar to those of Antrodiaetus unicolor, and they need specific microclimates suitable for them so they don't dry out or drown. Optimum conditions for Antrodiaetus pacificus are apparently found in humid, cool, rather densely forested habitats with coniferous and deciduous forests with deep loam or sandy loam soils that are suitable for tunneling. They love to burrow in moist environments such as near streams, damp soil, or other sources of water. They also love to hide under and burrow under rocks and the decaying logs, leaf litter, or other natural debris on the forest floor. Such habitats are particularly abundant in the moist lowlands and mountains along the Pacific coast from northern California into Alaska, but are less continuous inland, there to be in the mountains of Idaho, eastern Oregon, and eastern Washington. Antrodiaetus pacificus also occurs in the volcanic sand soil of the Cascade Mountain Range and even constructs burrows in decaying logs in Douglas fir forests. Many people find Antrodiaetus pacificus burrows and often run into them in their own gardens, such as those in Seattle, Washington, or Portland, Oregon. Burrows are sparse in rocky areas with shallow, fast-drying soils, and the dense aggregations were discovered in soil that was humid and firm at or just below the surface. Within favorable habitats, burrows tend to be clustered in sheltered spots protected from erosion and flooding. Such spots are found on the stable parts of slopes and banks along ravines, streams, trails, and narrow roads. Moss-covered bank surfaces or portions under the shelter of roots, logs, rocks, or tree overhangs are, as in Antrodiaetus unicolor, common sites of burrow aggregations as well. Life history. The male wandering and mating occur between early June and early November, with peak activity perhaps from late July to late September. Records from a few relatively well-collected localities hint that, as in Antrodiaetus unicolor, male emergence is more nearly synchronous in any given locality and is controlled by local climate. Females. Close examination of the 4 Antrodiaetus pacificus broods indicate that the pattern of early postembryonic development is the same as in Antrodiaetus unicolor. Almost all of the shed chorions examined contain the embryonic cuticle, and a very few of the spiderlings actually in the process of hatching have lost the chorion but not the embryonic cuticle. Therefore, hatching involves the splitting and peeling back of the chorion and then the embryonic cuticle in close succession, followed by usually simultaneous shedding of these membranes. The morphology of the embryonic cuticle in the first instar is as in Antrodiaetus unicolor. A few data indicate that the timing of brood development of Antrodiaetus pacificus in nature may be similar to that of Antrodiaetus unicolor. Evidence that spiderlings may overwinter in the second instar and the adult females are long-lived was provided by an adult female collected on July 3rd by Frederick Coyle. Although she was rearing no brood that year, her burrow was in the center of a 30-centimeter diameter aggregation of 36 burrows of spiderlings that matched the size and morphology of the second instar antrodiaetus unicolor spiderlings. Since she was isolated from other adult burrows, these spiderlings almost certainly belonged to her brood of the previous year. Behavior. Burrow structure. Antrodiaetus pacificus burrows are very similar in structure to antrodiaetus unicolor burrows. The tubular burrow is slightly widened just below the entrance and at the bottom end and is narrowed between. The silk lining is thickest in the upper end, is often nearly imperceptible in the lower portion of the soil. There is considerable variation in burrow length among adult spiders. These burrows tend to be longer in drier soil, but many other factors also affect burrow length. Penultimate male burrows average smaller than those of adult females. Adult female burrow pitch ranged from to 35 degrees, with most between 0 degrees and 15 degrees. No burrow sloped upward from the entrance. Entrance structure. This species possesses at its burrow entrance a flexible silken collar identical to that of antrodiaetus unicolor. The only burrows observed with the collar closed and sealed on the inner surface with a small amount of silk, as is fairly common in antrodiaetus unicolor, were those of 3 penultimate males apparently ready to undergo their final molt. 2 burrows were found with soil plugs. In one burrow, 2994 at Catherine Creek State Park, Oregon, the plug was in the entrance under the closed collar, but in the other 2970 at V, the plug was positioned 1/3 of the way down the burrow. Egg sac structure and placement. The 4 egg sacs examined were like those of antrodiaetus unicolor. Of the 3 egg sacs which Frederick Coyle excavated, one was near the top of the burrow, and the other 2 were in the bottom half. All were attached to the ventral sector of the burrow wall. The molting behavior. Fragmented exuviae were often found compacted like prey exoskeletons into the bottom end of burrows. Only 2 recently molted spiders were observed. 2 mature males each had the final exuvia packed lightly into the bottom end of its burrow. The exuvia of one male was slightly broken, and the nature of the entrance closure could not be determined. The exuvia of the other was unbroken, and the collar was closed and lightly sealed inside with silk. Defensive behavior. The behavior of foraging individuals of antrodiaetus pacificus when disturbed by strong light and substrate vibrations is like that of antrodiaetus unicolor. 5 large immature spiders at R were observed at the bottom end of their burrows, spinning a thin septum of silk across a burrow lumen between themselves and the entrance as I excavated their burrows. Well, as Frederick Coyle excavated their burrows, but not me. When I broke the septa and prodded them, Frederick Coyle again, they exhibited the typical aggressive defensive posture. Predators and parasites. 3 recently digested males were found hanging in the webs of theridid spiders at G. 1 male from Washington was taken from the stomach of Boreas, a western toad. 3 large immature specimens each had large nematode worms filling their abdomens. A pompilid wasp larva was found in the abdominal dorsum of a female antrodiaetus pacificus on July 26 near Friday Harbor, Washington. Prey capture behavior. Adult females were observed in foraging position within their open burrow entrances only after nightfall or rarely in very dim light. The burrow entrances are normally closed during the day. Immatures usually assumed foraging postures earlier in the evening. Very young spiders frequently had collars open during the daytime and were often in foraging postures then. The foraging posture of the species is similar to that of antrodiaetus unicolor. Prey composition. Recently captured prey and identifiable prey rejectamenta found in the bottom of burrows include ants, beetles, spiders, Hymenoptera, 1 vespid wasp and 1 argidae, and Hemiptera. Ant and beetle remains were far more abundant than those of the other groups. A 15mm long carabid beetle, Bracinae, and Campotinus major worker ants were the largest prey found. Disposal of prey remains. Fragmented exoskeletons of a digested prey were frequently found mixed with a small amount of silk and packed into the bottom end of burrows as an antrodiaetus unicolor. The thicker the cuticle, the less fragmented the remains. Live columbola were observed on such trash in a few burrows. Matinee behavior. Males of Antrodiaetus pacificus apparently wander in search of mates only at night. Frederick Coyle has observed 12 wandering males, 7 at L and 5 at K, all after nightfall. Considerable daytime collecting at both localities failed to turn up wandering males. Fur male specimens from W are accompanied by the label on ground at night. Wandering males usually stop moving when light is shown on them. 2 captured males were released near female burrows, and each stopped suddenly when it came close to the burrow. In one encounter, the female closed her collar just as it discovered by the male, which then uses. Well, guys, I think that is it for the video. I hope you learned something about the Pacific folding door spider, and I hope you have a good day or night, and just stay safe, alright? See ya.